No. So I recently watched a TED Talk in which an anthropologist by the name of Amber Case described a cyborg as an organism that had exogenous components added to it. In this sense, I suppose we all are very much cyborgs. In the way we use and relate to technology to adapt to and shape the social and physical environments that we ourselves are continually shaping. And for some people this notion is quite an unpleasant one. They look to the past and they mournfully reminisce about some sort of romanticized humanity that was better than now. But for other people it's really exciting. They look to the future and they think, what sort of things, how is technology going to shape a future humanity? A future in which we'll finally have hoverboards. Oof. Nah, we all know that's never going to happen. But between this duality of heavily romanticized past and present humanity lies the question: is technology making us less human? Certainly many of our evolving technologies negate past essentials. Oh shit, where'd I put my phone? And everything now, from our social lives, networking, work, education, are all becoming mediated and regulated by technology and integrated through the internet. The other day I saw an online dating company in the news, which is for people who want to have affairs. An organised online affair-having company. Anyway, to me this whole debate about a past and present humanity and which of those is more genuine kind of misses the point. The implication to me is the nature of humanity is change. Everything in the universe is changing, including humanity. There is no static essential truth. Well, but, let's try to find one just for funsies. Anatomically modern human beings have existed for around 100,000 years, give or take, they say. And in that time, rich, localized cultures have exploded into existence and then faded away again like dying stars. Through some sort of ambiguous convergence of our behavioural, intellectual, technological and sociological evolutions, guided by a few key political decisions of course, this narrative has arrived at the present state of affairs, of progress. Scientists enthusiastically point to things like opposable thumbs, tools and increased meat consumption as being the catalyst driving this evolution. Others point to more subtle factors like language,
shut up, Dominic!
Culture and ritual. Whatever it is, something drove us to change, to become what we call human, and so that thing defined us. It is what makes us human because it's what made us human. That thing is the very humanness itself of our being and our existence. We have so many things in common with animals, and I don't just mean physiologically speaking. For starters, a general polarized spectrum of experience. On the one hand, you've got pain and suffering and displeasure, and on the other, pleasure in its various manifestations. There you go, little mate, hey? Yeah, good girl. And at the intersect between this spectrum of neurochemical, emotional experience and sensory experience lies a central awareness that drives us through life, fighting to keep our state of being on the positive end of that spectrum, avoiding at all costs the external signs and symbols that bring about negative emotional experience, fixated on the pursuit of that which will bring survivability, comfort and pleasure, and in this day and age, the likes. So allow me to mythologize just for a second. And in this self-realization, our awareness called itself human as separate from animals, and began to pursue higher comforts, greater levels of survivability, comforts that were fit for the superior species of the planet. It realized the suffering nature of existence and gave it a name, the human condition, and imagined a mythology to give meaning to this plight of existence, the great journey of our species to end the suffering of earthbound life and death. But of course all narratives have to have an ending, so we imagined one. A distant utopic future where we were free from all of the things that bind us to suffering in this earthbound existence. The actualization of our species. Ultimate progress. And so, Promethean torch in hand, human beings began to expand our consciousness through technology and the like, continually reshaping a physical environment that is better suited to our evolving needs, to our survival, the way we deem we are entitled to. And so long as we continue to control our physical environment, we no longer need to physiologically adapt, so our bodies stopped evolving. And now we actively alter the social and physical environments in which we exist, always to better suit our needs, always in the pursuit of this idea of progress. So maybe that's what drives us, maybe that's what drives our evolution and what defines us as humans, a concept that we ourselves have made up, we're the authors of, unwittingly. We've deluded ourselves into believing that we have to progress to this idea that we ourselves have imagined. We've added meaning where there wasn't any. We mythologized the basic plight of all of existence and called it human, came up with this idea of ourselves, thing that we need to be, something that somehow legitimizes us. Maybe that is what Genesis was getting on about with the whole Adam and Eve thing, the apple, our dissatisfaction with the current state of affairs, our pursuit and idealized omnipotent humankind. The avoidance of emotional discomforts and the constant pursuit of higher pleasures. But at the end of the day, all we are is what we imagine ourselves to be, and that is fundamentally fictitious. This hasn't really gone anywhere, has it? Ah well, let's define technology. Heidegger certainly sees technology as having a very mystical nature, a way of revealing truth about the world and about ourselves. But along his journey of trying to define technology through the evolution of various terms and words that we use to describe technology, at least he's forgetting that the very words that he's using, at one point or another, somebody made those up. They are fundamentally fictitious. So how can you arrive at some sort of truth, the essence of something, using words to convey meaning about that thing that are fictitious, made up? Nonetheless, words and technology are, at least as far as I see it, very alike. We humans exist in two environments, the physical and the social. We use words to constantly shape and adapt to that social environment, especially constructing and deconstructing reality. Technology we use to shape and adapt to our physical environment, constantly deconstructing and constructing a physical reality, which is conducive to our survival. Of course, there's a big overlap between those two expanses of physical reality and social reality today through mediums like information and communication technology. Physical space is becoming less relevant and social space is expanding, spread across the globe, and we're becoming increasingly interconnected. But that's a whole other kettle of fish. Nonetheless, both words and technology are very much part of the human narrative, the plight of our species. Technology, like words, has been one of those things that's helped us along our way to become what we are today. But ever so slowly, we have become increasingly reliant on it. Like I said to begin with, it mediates all of our behaviours, even infidelity, even conflict. From thousands of kilometres away now, people can pilot an unmanned aerial vehicle using controls very similar to this one. Controls they grew up playing video games on. And they can kill people in the same way that they've learned to playing video games. And through all this, are we better for it? Are we happier? I'm not entirely convinced. Maybe if this whole narrative of progress is just tied to that basic polarized spectrum of experience between pleasure and dissatisfaction and comfort and pursuit of higher pleasure, then the whole narrative is an incredibly futile one, because you can't have pleasure without suffering. I think I've heard that before. Is that Buddhism? Or is that the whole Christian thing, the whole suffering of mankind, our original sin is in pursuit of that apple? Doesn't matter. As to whether or not it's making us more or less human, well, to me the apple is central. Throughout recorded history at least, we always seem to have had some sort of dissatisfaction with the present state of affairs, and always this distant future idea of progress. And in pursuit of that idea of progress, we've continually used creativity and made technology to shape a physical environment that is more conducive to that idea, that reinforces our progress towards whatever that future is. I guess then technology is a reflection of our humanness and is reinforcing our humanness, the very narrative of our humanness. So our humanness is making us more human, like a self-fulfilling prophecy, like Harry Potter. I don't know, we want to be in control. We don't want to be bound by preeminent laws of life and death and limitations that dictate what we need to exist. We desire godlike omnipotence. When I think about it, it really does seem like we're moving towards some sort of organless consciousness, step by step removing the things that tie us to our physical environment, building an expanse of technology between us and the suffering of physical existence, and expanding on the metaphysical nowadays, namely through the internet. So anyways, I don't know. Thanks for watching. Call of Duty is a callin'.